Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. It is the last day of July 2015 and we've got a lot of different news going on. But standing by in the wings ready to sing us some songs is Mr. John Cornett. Hey John.
Hey, how you doing, Paul?
Very well, very well.
Awesome.
Right next to me is Mr. Casper Leach and a couple of our friends from Argentina. We have Mike Bafari and Chihueli Gaston-Durana. Hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But first, as we always do, we'll bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have this news story for you tonight. Our news starts here in Oregon. Oregon Governor Kate Brown on Tuesday signed legislation allowing medical marijuana dispensaries in the state to start selling recreational cannabis to adult consumers on October 1st. Consumers 21 and older will be able to buy up to a quarter ounce of cannabis per day at dispensaries, as well as seeds and up to 4 immature plants under Senate Bill 460. This will be the first time medical marijuana dispensaries are allowed to sell to people who don't have a medical card. Supporters of the measure said Oregon should go ahead with the sales to divert traffic from the black market. Dispensary owners were also anxious to move into the recreational marijuana sales because the marijuana medical market's oversaturated. There will be no tax on products in the dispensaries until after January 4th under the temporary sales program. After that, a 25% sales tax will kick in. On the other side of the country, in Washington, D.C., members of the United States Appropriations Committee voted 16-14 late last week in favor of an amendment to allow state-compliant marijuana businesses to engage in relationships with banks and financial institutions. The bill, sponsored by Oregon's own Senator Jeff Merkley and Patty Murray from Washington State, and the amendment to the Financial Services and General Government Appropriations Bill, prohibits the U.S. Treasury Department from using federal funds to take punitive actions against banks that provide services to marijuana-related businesses that are operating legally under state law. The vote marks the first time that members of the U.S. Congress have decided in favor of amending federal law permit marijuana-related business access to banks and other financial institutions. No industry can operate safely, transparently, or effectively without access to banks or other financial institutions. It's time for Congress to change federal policy so that this growing number of state-compliant businesses and their consumers may operate in a manner that is similar to other legal commercial entities. Related legislation, the Marijuana Business Access to Banking Act of 2015, is also pending before lawmakers in the United States House and Senate. In our heartland in South Dakota, Native American tribe is set to begin selling marijuana. Tourists in South Dakota may soon be able to go to a Native American reservation and buy a joint of marijuana. They're saying they might sell for $10 or $15 a joint, then try their luck at the nearby casino. The Flandroy Santee Sioux expect in December to become the first tribe in the nation to grow and sell cannabis for recreational purposes, taking the Obama administration at its word when it says all 566 federally approved Indian tribes are free to enter the marijuana industry. According to Anthony Tony Ryder, 38 and leader of the tribe for almost 5 years, he says, quote, "The fact that we are the first doesn't scare us. The Department of Justice gave us the go-ahead similar to what they did with the states, so we're comfortable going with it," end quote. 60 strains of marijuana will be available from the tribe, according to Ryder, who's hoping for hordes of visitors. He's predicting that the sales could bring in $2 million per month to the financially impoverished tribe. The Sioux Nations are among the poorest people in the United States and have the highest unemployment rate of well over 50%. Also, across the river in Washington State, don't keep those roaches in the ashtray. Drivers in Washington State, where recreational marijuana is legal, after September 26 will be required to keep all cannabis in the trunk of a vehicle in an unopened container or behind the rearmost row of seats. Washington House Bill 1276 will update Washington's open container law to include marijuana. The law also restores the ability of the state to automatically suspend a driver's license if a blood test shows the driver's blood THC level to be 5 nanograms per milliliter or higher. So it's not good news, but time will tell how that goes. On a federal level, there's a new leader of the Drug Enforcement Administration, and he finally has admitted that marijuana is probably not as bad as heroin. The new head of the Drug Enforcement Administration admitted on Tuesday that heroin, quote, probably, end quote, is more dangerous than marijuana, an admission that his predecessor, the embattled Michelle Linehart, would not make. Acting DEA Administrator Chuck Rosenberg said federal DEA agents aren't prioritizing marijuana enforcement, but he's not ordered them off of it either. He said, quote, if you want me to say that marijuana is not dangerous, I'm not going to say that because I think it is. Do I think it's as dangerous as heroin? Probably not. I'm not an expert, end quote. Well, he certainly isn't. But the former head of the DEA, Michelle Linehart, who stepped down after a sex scandal involving agents in South America, would not say that. She actually said that marijuana was more dangerous. Over in Jerusalem, Israel, medical marijuana preparations will soon be available in Israeli pharmacies, a health ministry representative announced last Monday. In conjunction with the plan, government officials also intend to license additional physicians to prescribe cannabis therapy. Medical cannabis will be prescribed and monitored by the same standards as other medications, the agency says. The Israeli government has authorized the limited production and distribution of marijuana as a medical treatment since 2011. Our last story tonight's out of Florida. Charges against an injured veteran accused of growing marijuana have been dropped. Charges have been dropped against an injured Iraq war veteran in Florida who was arrested after deputies said they found marijuana plants in his home. Matthew Young was charged with cultivation after Pasco County deputies conducted a raid. Young said a lawyer from Jacksonville gave him paperwork and false information that using medical marijuana is legal in Florida. He said, quote, I really, to this day, don't believe I've done anything wrong, he said. He said that marijuana gave him relief from medical problems he's had since returning from combat. He also said, quote, it wasn't until I tried cannabis that everything turned around. I could start functioning and start having a day. You have to have a day before you can start a life, end quote. That's the end of our hemp news segment tonight. We're going to jump over to Mr. John Cornett. Hey, John.
Hey, Paul. How you doing? I tell you what,
Very well.
Cannabis is an extreme danger to stupidity and greed, and as well it should be. I think now's the time for it to be legal, for it to be, for all prohibition against cannabis to be lifted. I'd like to dedicate the song to Ray. Now is the time. The time is now to tell the truth. the truth. Oppressive lies and fantasies isn't how it has to be. And ignorance throwing stones like so many brainless bones. Sound the alarm, re-educate. Sound the alarm. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Time is now to speak the truth, to seek the truth, to be the truth, to be truth. Corporations, governments are rarely ever innocent. Dissension is the only way to live to see another day. Sound the alarm, re-educate. Sound the alarm, investigate. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Sound the alarm, investigate. Sound the alarm, re-educate, re-educate. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa.
Mr. John Cornett. Thank you, John. I love that song. Welcome to the show, Casper.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
Welcome, Cherry.
Casper.
Cheery. So Mike and Cherry are from Argentina.
That's right.
And so
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires.
Did you come here by bus?
Almost.
So you've had some huge marches down in Buenos Aires in
Absolutely,
South
yes.
America.
Oh yeah, your
Over-
country loves marijuana, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, very much.
So you've also been working in Uruguay. In fact, we've been working a little bit together in Uruguay.
Yes, it was a pleasure to be hanging around with you over there with all your
Yeah.
knowledge for
Pleasure too.
the Uruguayans and all the South Americans.
Is that where one of your
Okay.
farms is going to be?
I'm trying. We'll see. We're working together on that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Groovy.
it'll be our farm. But we're also working on that in Oregon. But I understand we have a couple of phone calls standing by. So let's go ahead and take one of those calls. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hi, today I read an article that the old Cannabis Cafe on Foster is reopening, and they said that anyone 21 and over, even without a card, can walk in and do that. And I wondered what you thought the future of that would be, and how. I mean, that seems really great, a place to socialize that anyone can go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a good thing. I think that there are a couple others out there. I know there's that one. I think it's opened up out on Foster. Also out on Foster, just off of 72nd at Holgate, there's another one, the other spot. And so there's two of them pretty close to each other over there. And so
Yeah.
I haven't been, I guess the Cannabis Cafe just opened, but the other spot's been there for months now.
Yeah, I went in there. It was nice. Apparently, under the new law, that's allowed. And I was curious
Yeah.
how to get around like smoking regulations, but I guess if you sign up to go in to smoke, there's no reason you can't. So that's great.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, and since
Okay.
marijuana might be safer than heroin, jeepers, it might be good to go in there and smoke some then too, huh?
I think so. I think, marijuana is a health benefit. It's not only safer than heroin, it's a benefit to stop cancer, just all kinds of different diseases.
Well, absolutely. I agree. All right. Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks for your call in tonight.
Paul, I really, really makes a difference in society that you had these old taverns, these old beer bars, and now they turn out to be dispensaries.
Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot safer.
Lot safer.
Not as many fights, not as many traffic accidents. It's definitely a lot better.
And supermarkets and grocery stores around are
Restaurants are going to boom.
Yeah, that's right.
That it does increase your appetite, which is bad for me. But if you don't you don't have a problem with weight, then increasing your appetite's not necessarily a bad thing occasionally. But we have another call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, I was wondering why the government is growing a Sativa ruderalis, but we can't buy any of that particular strain. Yet Phytotech is making pills out of it now, which I don't necessarily mind that they're doing that. I mean, there will be people who need to take pills instead of smoking it, but I would like to have some of the dry herb Sativa ruderalis that the government is growing to smoke, and I was wondering if you could comment on that.
I don't have much to add to it. I mean, there's a farm in Oxford, Mississippi that's been cultivating marijuana. They have a few different kinds there. I'm not familiar with the various kinds that they have, though, so I can't speak to their specifics. But I have seen some of the marijuana that they make and delivered to Elvie Masica, one of the 4 patients that's able to legally receive marijuana from the federal government, another one, Irv Rosenfeld, and they will ship out cannabis that's harvested 10 years ago. So it's 10-year-old cannabis. It's really like old Mexican, and so reminds me of the 60s and 70s. It's a substandard product that the federal government has been giving patients, but I understand they're starting to change their tune and starting to develop some other varieties. So that's about all I can add to it.
The 2 major terpenes in the terpenoids in that specific strain are very, very therapeutic and vital for health, and it could be a next antibiotic. It cures epilepsy, cancer. Basically cures everything. So.
Yeah, MRSA, the multi-drug resistant staph infections. It's been shown to cure those where nothing else will. So.
I have drug-resistant epilepsy, so I use a CBD strain for that, and it's been working pretty well. But I would love to get my hands on some common Sativa ruderalis that.
Well, I think
it's not available anywhere in the shops here, or nobody's growing. I think if people are growing that particular strain, because they have to wait 120 days for the flowering cycle, they're kind of keeping it for themselves because of all the work they put into that.
Maybe so. I think that with the legalization of cannabis here in Oregon and across the country, we'll be able to have greater access to a lot of these varieties in the very near future.
Yeah, I would definitely like to advocate for more people to grow the Sativa ruderalis that's high in CBD and has the THC in it as well. I think it'd be a great medicine, and I think we need to get on board with doing that. Not only, to have the government growing it and making pills out of it for people, it's going to be phenomenal what it's doing for people with epilepsy, especially. So.
Right. I think it is doing great things with people with epilepsy all over the world. Mike
it's a great time to be alive. I mean, I never thought that they would ever legalize marijuana here in Washington, and I quit smoking it for like 17 years. But then once they legalized it, I started smoking it again, and I found the CBD strain that works for my epilepsy. So I'm very grateful that at least we got something going, and we're learning more about it. I'm studying more about cannabinoids and terpenoids and terpenes and things of that nature. So I'm really getting into studying it and researching more and more every day and learning stuff.
All right. Well, keep the research going, and feel free to call us back with any news you might have.
Yeah, great show. I love to hear the news that you guys have on cannabis. And, we'll let you get back to the show. Then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call.
Now,
If you're out.
When the government sends LV hers, and then the government sends the other 3 patients there, are they sending out 4 different strains, one for LV's glaucoma and one?
No.
Or is it just the same 10-year-old?
You know, what I've seen is the same 10-year-old, sativa.
So they put no
Mexican.
effort in making certain that what their patients are getting.
They
are good
grow
for
it in
them.
Oxford, Mississippi. They
bad.
ship it to North Carolina, to the Research Triangle to process it, and then they put it in tens of 100 joints and send them 300 joints a month.
Okay.
I think the quantity was a good thing that they done because
Yeah, that's
because
the
of
one
the
good
quantity that they're sending to LB, other
10
people
grams a
could
day.
imitate the quantity.
Yeah.
Like you know Chris Conrad's book about dosages and
Yes.
Yearlings. He talks about that. Yeah.
He
Chris
certainly
Rock.
does.
He's
Yeah.
a very bright guy.
So both of you are just been added on as speakers at the Seattle Hemp Fest. We have the Seattle Hemp Fest coming up on August 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah.
So I know
It's,
you're excited about that.
Absolutely. Who couldn't be excited to speak in such a huge event that it's known worldwide? You know, for us, it's thrilling to be here. It's a great opportunity to update people about what's going on in the rest of the world. So, yeah.
And unless I'm mistaken, now I'm not sure, you better check, you should be able to smoke marijuana at the event.
Okay.
Right?
I think so. I've never had a problem with smoking marijuana there.
Because there are some hemp events where, for some reason or another, you can't smoke marijuana,
Right.
but not this one.
So if you are out there and you have a question for Mike or Cherry about what's going on down in South America, or for Casper and myself about ending marijuana prohibition, helping medical marijuana patients or industrial hemp, you can call us at that number on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We have a video clip. Let's see if we can get that video rolling. We have someone from Spain actually being interviewed in English. It's Ms. Sanchez from the Complutense. Is it Complutense?
Competencia.
Complutense University in Madrid.
Complutense. Complutense.
You heard it from them. Okay, we're going to run that video and we'll be right back.
Long in the leaf and short in the can.
Please welcome Dr. Cristina Sanchez, the molecular biologist who discovered the anti-cancer properties of THC. My name is Cristina Sanchez, and I work at Complutense University in Madrid, Spain. And I have been working for the last decade on the anti-tumor effects of cannabinoids. In the early 1960s, Rafi Meshulam from the Hebrew University in Israel characterized the main compound in marijuana producing the psychoactive effects that we all know. The cannabis plant has been known for millennia. After the discovery of this compound that is called THC, it was pretty obvious that this compound had to be acting on the cells, on our organism, through a mechanism, through a molecular mechanism. And in the 1980s, 2 specific targets for THC were discovered, something that we call cannabinoid receptors. And after the discovery of the receptor, it was obvious that our body has to synthesize something that binds to these receptors. It was pretty obvious that was something endogenously produced by our own bodies, that was acting through these receptors. And these compounds, these endogenously produced cannabinoids, were found a few years later, and it's what we call the endocannabinoids, because they are produced endogenously inside our bodies. These compounds, the endocannabinoids, together with the receptors and the enzymes that synthesize, that produce the endocannabinoids and that degrade the endocannabinoids, are what we call the endocannabinoid system. And we now know that the endocannabinoid system regulates a lot of biological function. Appetite, food intake, motor behavior, reproduction, and many, many other functions. And that's why the plant has such a wide therapeutic potential. We started working in this project 15 years ago, and it was basically by chance. We were working with astrocytes at that time, and we decided to change the model and work with astrocytoma cells, the tumoral cells. And we observed that when we treated these cells with cannabinoids, THC, the main psychoactive component of cannabis, it was killing the cells in our petri dishes. We were killing the cells. So we thought that we were facing some potential anti-tumoral responses. And then we decided to analyze these compounds in animal models of breast and brain tumors. The results we have obtained are telling us that cannabinoids may be useful for the treatment of breast cancer. We started to do experiments in animal models of glioblastoma, brain tumors, and we observed that cannabinoids were very potent in reducing tumor growth. Cells can die in different ways, and after cannabinoid treatment, they were dying in the clean way. They were committing suicide, which is something you really want when you have an anti-tumoral drug. One of the advantages of cannabinoids or cannabinoid-based medicines would be that they target specifically tumor cells. They do not have any toxic effect on normal, non-tumoral cells. And this is an advantage with respect of standard chemotherapy that target basically everything. When we started to see these anti-tumor and cell-killing effects on cancer cells, we decided to set aside our metabolic studies and to focus on cancer. I cannot understand why in the States cannabis is under Schedule 1, because it is pretty obvious, not only from our work, but from work from many other researchers, that the plant has a very wide therapeutic potential. We are in contact with doctors in Spain, oncologists, neuro-oncologists, and breast specialists that are willing to test these compounds in human patients. The plant, besides THC, produces cannabidiol. And this compound is very special because it is not psychoactive. It has been demonstrated that it's a very, very potent antioxidant. It protects the brain from stress and from damage, kills cancer cells, and when you combine it with THC, it produces synergistic effects, which means that the effect of THC is potentiated. At this point, we have enough preclinical evidence supporting the idea that cannabinoids may have anti-tumoral properties. We, as researchers, should explore in more depth and be willing to try in many different pathologies. Cannabis has an enormous therapeutic potential.
All right. Hey, Mike, you got a close-up. So, have you heard about Dr. Sanchez in South America? I know that you guys have been in Spain as well,
yes,
right?
We've been in Spain, yes.
Yeah. I know they've been
Barcelona.
doing great work at that university for some time in cannabis.
Yes.
You know, the United States, because we have cannabis listed as a Schedule 1 narcotic, we can't have any research on medical marijuana. So we can't have that kind of research done here in the United States until the federal Congress or the federal system, the President of the United States, any of those bodies could take cannabis out of its restrictive status as a Schedule 1 narcotic, and they definitely should, because what they're doing is saying that marijuana has no medicinal benefit. That's why it's in Schedule 1. But in fact, at one point, the federal government has it saying it's Schedule 1 drug with no medicinal benefits, and then on another level, the Health and Human Services has patented cannabinoids for its pain relief and cancer fighting effects. So big contradiction there, isn't it, Casper?
And it makes it frustrating to find out what this wonderful plant really can do and how effective it can be on a variety of ailments. And any type of research that we do on a local level or on a civilian basis is always referred to as anecdotal. And it really is difficult to actually look somebody in the eye and say, yeah, it is better to take cancer treatments with medical marijuana and oils than it is to do it with chemotherapy. Because we're not doctors, we don't have the research to back it, we only have anecdotal evidence to verify it, and it's very frustrating when you're dealing with life and death situations.
There's the list of scheduled drugs right there with cannabis in there. I know we have several people standing by. Let's go ahead and take a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, howdy.
How are you tonight?
Hanging in there.
Good, good. So what do you think about the new legalization of marijuana here in the state of Oregon?
Well, I think it's all right. About time.
Yeah?
Now it was about like 30, 35 years ago, I got little plants started in my yard.
Uh-huh.
And it started growing over in my neighbor's yard and that, and I had to turn them back. But anyway, right now, I'm trying to find some seed so I can try it over again and see if it can beat my corn out or what. I'm trying to find out where I can get some.
So you're talking about seeds for your own personal 4-plant garden or industrial hemp seeds or what?
I don't know. I'm just a rookie.
Okay, well, each household in Oregon can now legally grow 4 marijuana plants and possess 8 ounces of marijuana in their home and have cannabis-based foods and even cannabis-based drinks. You can have all of those at the same time legally here currently.
But how do they get the seed? Do they do it like I Dream of Jeannie and just kind of like blink it, or does it fall from the sky, or
they can, you go to a friend or something, or you go to one of these new dispensaries out there, or you could go to on October 1st it'll be legal for any adult to buy seeds and starts in these stores.
Oh, really? That's cool. That's nice.
Yeah,
because right now you can't. You got to let it fall from the sky, right?
Right, or get it from the black market, basically.
Well, I got some from my bud there, and it's some old seed, but it never germinated or anything. So.
There are several places in Canada and Amsterdam that will sell you seeds in the mail. However, a lot of times those get interdicted and don't arrive because the customs people will stop them.
Will the Oregon residents be able to order those now from overseas?
Not anymore legally because the federal mails don't allow that. But most of them get through, is my understanding. I've never tried to order them like that myself, but what I've heard, it usually works for them.
Okay, I saw something a while back in your show. I think you were talking about clones or something like that.
Yeah. Clones are the best way because you have a female. And I like to grow from clones because you have a known variety. So I tend to make clones, and what that is, you just take a little sprig off of a marijuana plant, and you cut it through this node and put it into a root hormone and into dirt or growing medium, and keep it in a warm, moist place with lots of light, and it will root in 1 to 3 weeks. And so...
And you bypass some of the necessary growing stages that goes from seed to the height that the clone will be once the roots take effect. And so you're able to get a jump start on your planting season as well. So that's also another benefit to it.
Indeed.
Oh, okay. The seed I got from my bud there is, I planted on the 4th of July because I wanted to get a big bang, but it never came up. So. Okay, I tried.
Well, that's a good way to celebrate Rebellion Day or 4th of July, Independence Day, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, sir. Thanks for watching, too.
Bye.
Good night. And we have another call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Yes. My question is about Marinol. Now that it's legal, marijuana is legal here in the state, can we legally obtain Marinol over the counter?
No, it's still a Schedule III drug, so you have to have a doctor's prescription to get Marinol through a pharmacy. Now, Marinol is synthetic THC in sesame oil, and so the pills are very expensive. They're anywhere from $10 to $20 each.
It's been around for 20 so years. I thought maybe the price has gone down yet.
It should, but it hasn't. It hasn't. So it is available pharmaceutically, but you've got to have a doctor's prescription.
And there's no buzz.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you take too much, you get a really big buzz.
But we've also found that the best way to ingest your medication is through inhalants, isn't it? And through oils, not so much through this Marinol product.
Well, you know, some people prefer the Marinol, but it's so expensive just because they're afraid of marijuana. But, you know, inhaling it works a lot more quickly. When you eat it, it takes longer for that to work, and you can't adjust your dosage. So either you don't take enough or you take too much.
And jeepers, we don't need to be afraid of marijuana anymore. We think maybe it might be less dangerous than heroin.
Well, my next question is, in your past show, you showed where you took marijuana and you baked it and you put it into capsules.
Right.
Does a dispensary sell such a thing?
Probably, yes. Yeah, they definitely do. And once you've vaporized it, you've activated the cannabinoids in the you have to activate them to make them work medicinally, psychoactively. So the heating process does that.
And how long does it last in the capsules will last? I mean, if you put it away. Years. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Thank you very much for your question, for my answer. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Have a good evening. Thanks for calling. We have another little video we're going to run right now about how our state governor, Kate Brown, has signed the bill that allows these medical dispensaries to start selling to adults beginning in October.
Recreational marijuana starting October 1st. Governor Kate Brown signed a bill today allowing medical pot dispensaries to temporarily sell the drug to adults. Marijuana possession became legal July 1st, but state regulators are still about a year away from allowing licensed retail shops to open. Under these new arrangements, you'll be able to purchase limited quantities of dried marijuana, seeds, and plant starts, but not edibles.
Electric Avenue is now open for business in downtown Portland. It's the largest lineup of electric car quick charging stations in the area. The Portland.
Okay, so, you know, I actually worked for Kate Brown in the 1997 legislature when she was first elected to the Senate. So,
and a courageous lady. We love her for doing the right thing.
Yeah,
She's smart enough to recognize this is going to benefit her state, the citizens of her state, the tourism, the businesses. She's a very smart and bright lady, and she should be instated the next time around as governor.
Okay, so she's got your endorsement.
Absolutely.
All right.
She's one of the few politicians that I would say maybe we shouldn't neuter or spade this one.
Okay.
Maybe even breed her.
Okay, Casper. So if you're out there and you have a question or comment for us tonight, gee, we got about 15 minutes left or so, so you can call us at that number, 503-288-4442.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If Donald Trump gets elected, will we call him President Trump or President the Donald?
Just call him Don and kiss his ring.
Oh, that rocks, because, you know, he is, I got to say this, a lot of people go, oh, Donald Trump becomes president, I'm leaving the country. Well, first of all, you said that about Bush, and you said that about Obama. And
I know people who did leave the country for Bush.
Anyway, think about this.
Jorge Cervantes left the country. Took me out to breakfast. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Now, we can hand the country back to the Clinton family. Oh, that sounds like fun. Or we can hand the family jewels of our country back over to the Bush family and let them have the White House. Both these politicians are owned and operated by corporation after corporation.
And the CIA and the National Security State.
And all these lobbyists. And Then there's this one guy who you might not like, you might not understand, but he's owned by nobody. Even businesses have walked away from him by comments that he's made because he's been taken out of context and misquoted. But he's not owned by anybody, and he's not got a political legacy to own up to. And he really is running in this race just because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He thinks he can bring the most talented people to Washington and solve our problems. So, just because of that, I think it's interesting. I won't be able to say I can endorse him until after I hear his
He's come out with a book, a new book that outlines his policies in more detail than any other presidential candidate has put out there.
I want to see him on the debates, but the one thing I like most is that he's not owned by anybody. He's not owned by the corporations. He's not owned by the lobbyists.
Like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is even better in my book. He's going to be here in Portland here next week, I believe.
I don't know. Bernie's been around for a while and got some political strings, and he's got some lobby money. The only money Donald Trump's got is Donald Trump's money.
Yeah, he's got his own money.
Does he? Bernie?
No.
Oh, no. Donald. The Donald.
But
Donald.
Bernie's getting small little donations where, Jeb Bush, before he even announced he was running, had already raised $200 million.
And what upsets even the Democrats don't want the Donald to run because they would rather have it either the Bush family or the Clinton family run the White House. I mean, keep in mind, when they had the Ira-Contra affair and was taking all those weapons out of America and bringing all that cocaine in, they were doing it through the state that Clinton was governor of at the time. And then as soon as that was over with, they handed the White House over to the Clintons and then back to the Bushes, now back to the Clintons. And if you get the Donald in there, it kind of like makes everybody go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do?
I think that time will tell, but Bernie, I think, is the best one in my book right now. But we will see. We will see. But you don't become the nominee of one of our political parties if you don't have the backing of the national security state, the CIA, the NSA.
Well, the Donald
and if you don't, then they will discredit you one way or another. And I don't think Donald Trump has the backing of them. They'll find some way to discredit him.
I don't know, because they've gone back 30 years, and so far the worst thing they found is that maybe he said something to the effect to a female lawyer who was breastfeeding during
there's a lot more than that in Donald Trump.
You should get out of here.
He's been through, lots of different business disputes and lawsuits and
well,
things
I know,
like
but
that,
the Clintons have got all these dead bodies around them, and so does the Bush family, right?
They definitely
I don't see
do.
dead bodies around the Donald yet.
George Bush Sr. was right there involved in the Kennedy assassination. He was one of the head people. In
remember
fact,
that one guy?
J. Edgar Hoover even wrote a letter saying that he had talked to George Bush in Dallas of the CIA on the day of the Kennedy assassination.
I remember that one guy who turned up dead in the park in Washington from an apparent suicide. They worked with the Clintons.
Will Foster.
Just ironically, a few days before he was testifying in Congress. So you don't have those problems with the Donald.
Okay, there's our national politics rant for tonight. Let's take another phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, that must have been a Republican supporter. Sorry.
So, Mike, what do you want to tell us about what's going on in South America?
Well, I wanted to introduce to the people to my good friend Chile, Gaston. Gaston is a famous grower over there, and
that means you've been arrested a few times?
Well, we all been arrested,
He got into the country, though.
Yeah, we got into the country.
But they stopped you at the border.
Well, anyways, let me thank the people that made this possible.
Yeah, so Chibili's won all these. Tell him about the different cups he's won.
There's 3 main cups in the city of Buenos Aires. Is what's the oldest place, with the cannabis culture going on over there in the south. And he won the 3 main cups in 1 year. He won it in a row. So and
those 3 main cups are.
He's been helping a lot of patients as well, because we gotta say the truth. Whatever there's a good grower, there's patients around.
Yeah, I know you've been helping a lot of the children that are sick with epilepsy get oils.
Giving children marijuana?
En español.
Really?
Yeah, we believe we've been saving their lives actually, because a seizure could kill one of those kids, and it seems to be that CBD oil stops completely the seizures. And
Wow.
yeah, this is something relatively new, I guess. But there's a few doctors that are really, the truth, they cannot believe it, you know, they're completely blown out by this new fact. And yeah, it's something that's happening now. Yeah.
So, Cherry, is there anything you want to say to our audience? You can speak in Spanish or English, either one.
¿En español?
Yeah.
Muy bien. Bueno, la idea de agradecer que nos hayan invitado, que nos estén apoyando en nuestro proyecto de normalización en Latinoamérica. Es muy importante para nosotros poder captar lo que la cultura de este país está desparramando por el mundo, porque lo que ocurre acá cambia en todo el globo. En los gobiernos federales en todos los países dependen de las políticas de este estado, así que lo que cambie aquí cambia allá.
Want me to translate something?
Sure.
Yeah. Whatever changes here in the federal level, it will change the rest of the federal countries. So it's very good for us to be here and to spread the word about the culture against these policies, you know, that have been around for so many years.
You
So
can observe
we
how we're
really-
legalizing cannabis here in the United States
Yes,
and
it
tell
helps
that
other-
story.
Other countries, yeah. Yeah, for example, the United Nations told Uruguay, you're doing wrong by legalizing, and the people from Uruguay said, well, look at the United States. They're legalizing everywhere, you know? So we're just a tiny little country, and you come against us when you have your own country legalizing everywhere. So, you know, I think that's more we legalize here in the States, it will be benefit for the rest of the world.
I was very happy to see the drug minister of Uruguay tell the United Nations that, you know, marijuana use is a right of personal freedom, an individual right.
Exactly.
And it was great to see them defend that in front of the United Nations Drug Commission.
And how do you say in Spanish that it should embarrass the United States that a small country like Uruguay is leading the way in marijuana and hemp reform because the United States is being led by a group of ass clowns? Can you translate that?
You don't need to do that.
Okay.
We have a caller standing by. Let's go ahead and take that phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering about the little candle I see it burning on your table there.
Yeah, this is hemp seed oil with a hemp wick. And so we call it our hemp flame of freedom. And so it is pure hemp seed oil, and this is to demonstrate that hemp is fuel. You can take any hemp seed oil, pour it right into a diesel engine, turn the key, and then you can drive away. Diesel fuel, they synthesize petroleum to be like vegetable oil. Hemp seed is the most productive vegetable oil by a factor of 4 to 1. And so when we end the artificial regulations on hemp and allow farmers to grow hemp makes the most seed and the best quality seed and fiber, we will stop deforestation with hemp fiber, help wipe out world hunger with hemp protein, and stop using petroleum. That's our ultimate goal here, is to replace petroleum with biofuel, and particularly hemp seed oil.
Okay, another question now. Can you inhale that and it wouldn't harm you?
No, it's not psychoactive. It's good to eat. It's actually one of the most nutritious oils you can eat. So what I like to tell people is, imagine the Exxon Valdez that 25 years ago dumped a whole super tanker load of petroleum into Prince William Sound up in Alaska. It poisoned the environment for generations. Now, if that had been hemp seed oil, instead of poisoning the environment and killing the animals, it would have enriched the environment. The birds that would have been able to eat it and clean it off their feathers rather than eat the petroleum and die. So this is non-toxic, and this is the whole reason. This fuel is the whole reason that they made up the marijuana myth. The petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate elite, crony capitalist ruling class made up the words
forgot
marijuana.
sons of bitches.
Yeah, I know. But made up the word marijuana and made up the whole marijuana myth because they don't want to compete with this. Any farmer can grow hemp seed on a farm and press it and take the oil, pour it right into their engine. The petrochemical industry doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's why marijuana has been illegal. And when we end marijuana prohibition and allow farmers to grow industrial hemp without regard to its THC content, but with regard to the most productive varieties for fuel, fiber, and food, it's going to change the whole world's economic paradigm.
Yeah, it's much the same concept as when they use vegetable oil to run your engines. You know, you've seen that done in the news before. It's the very same concept. They say that when you do that, it smells like you're cooking French fries. I have a hunch it smells like you're burning marijuana. You don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, like the TriMet buses used to do. Also, I find it very interesting. I'm glad that Oregon finally passed a law to legalize our cannabis. And I'm a great person that knows it does heal pain. I get the stuff with high CBDs in it, and I've had severe back problems and diabetes and heart problems, and it's helped me a lot with that. It makes my day go by pretty good.
All right.
So
the laws are changing for the better for us all.
Yeah, right now I'm still waiting on getting my card in the mail.
So how long have you been waiting?
Well, I submitted my paperwork in June 13th, but I didn't get a form to fill out for the state to get my card until just today and put it in the drop box. So hopefully I'll get my card within a couple of days here.
Good luck. Good luck.
But
Congratulations.
Being behind like they are.
Yeah, they are. It's not good for patients. It discourages.
Yeah, so I'm been down 3 months without anything for now, but
oh no.
Still
well,
holding
hang in
on.
there, and I hope you get your card really quick, sir. Thanks for your phone call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it also helps with CNN-itis. When I watch CNN and get high, I don't get afraid.
All right. We are almost out of time. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing, Mike?
Yeah, I want to say that, all the issues are linked. Yesterday I saw on TV this drama about the ship trying to pass the bridge, to go into Alaska to.
Yeah.
We all want to save the bears, but I think this last question of the gentleman that just called about the fuel made out of hemp is the answer for that. If we made more hemp oil, we use less fossil fuel, and that's good for the planet, I guess.
It definitely is. Cheer, you want to say anything?
Sí, que podemos agregar que es un material estratégico y que cualquier nación en el mundo puede ser independiente.
Yeah, it's a strategic material for any nation in the world to be independent.
That's true. Casper, you want to give a plug for your radio empire?
Jeepers, Paul,
Internet.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And good golly, please make it a point to go to timeforhemp.com. We have now been accepted by Apple iStore to be in the iTunes apps now. Finally, it took them a while. So not only are we in Google Plus and Tumblr and SoundCloud and iHeartRadio, we are now in iTunes again. We are a growing group of people that are dedicated to ending prohibition. We are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we ask that you share us with your friends because Time for Hemp, like a good joint, is always best when you share us with your friends. And thank you, Paul, for the shameless plug.
I know you've got Andrea Herman on your radio network doing a weekly show, iHemp Radio, right?
iHemp Radio.
That's a good show. So tune in for that. And if you are a loved one or looking for a doctor who can help you get medical marijuana anywhere across the United States, you can call that toll-free number on your screen. It's 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. We have doctors who are willing to help you from Hawaii to the East Coast. So just if you're here in Portland, though, you can call us locally at 503-281-5100. That's 503-281-5100. And if you want to get involved in our movement to end marijuana prohibition and help hemp, call our political office at 503-235-4606. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Cherry. We'll have you guys back on here after the Seattle Hemp Fest.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Casper. Thank you, viewers. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp.
To me. There's a train coming, and it's all